Nantwich is a market town and civil parish in the Borough of Cheshire East and the County of Cheshire, England. In 2011, Nantwich had a population of 17,424. History: the origins of the settlement date to Roman times, when salt from Nantwich was used by the Roman garrisons at Chester, Deva Victrix, and Stoke-on-Trent as both a preservative and a condiment. Salt has been used in the production of Cheshire cheese and in the tanning industry, both products of the dairy industry based in the Cheshire Plain around the town. Nant comes from the Welsh for brook or stream. Wich and Wich are names used to denote brine springs or wells. In 1194 there is a reference to the town as being called Nametwihc, which would indicate it was once the site of a pre-Roman Celtic nemeton or sacred grove. In the Domesday Book, Nantwich is recorded as having 8 salt houses. It had a castle and was the capital of a barony of the earls of Chester, and of one of the 700s of medieval Cheshire. Nantwich is one of the few places in Cheshire to be marked on the Gough Map, which dates from 1355 to 66. It was first recorded as an urban area at the time of the Norman conquest, when the Normans burned the town to the ground, leaving only one building standing. The town is believed to have been a salt-producing centre from the 10th century or earlier. 6. The Norman castle was built at the crossing of the Weaver before 1180, probably near where the Crown Inn now stands. Although nothing remains of the castle above ground, it affected the town's layout. During the medieval period, Nantwich was the most important salt town and probably the second most important settlement in the county after Chester. By the 14th century, the town held a weekly cattle market at the end of what is today Beam Street, and it was also important for its tanning industry centered on Barker Street. A fire in December 1583 destroyed most of the town to the east of the Weaver. Elizabeth I contributed financially to the town's rebuilding, which occurred rapidly and followed the plan of the destroyed town. Beam Street was so renamed to reflect the fact that timber, including wood from Delamere Forest, to rebuild the town was transported along it. A plaque marking the 400th anniversary of the fire and of Nantwich's rebuilding was unveiled by the Duke of Gloucester on September 20, 1984. During the English Civil War, Nantwich declared for Parliament, and consequently it was besieged several times by Royalist forces. The final, 6-week-long, siege was lifted following the victory of the parliamentary forces in the Battle of Nantwich on January 26, 1644, which has been reenacted as Holly Holy Day on its anniversary every year since 1973 by the Sealed Knot, an educational charity. The name comes from the sprigs of holly worn by the townsfolk in their caps or clothing in the years after the battle, in its commemoration. The salt industry peaked in the mid-16th century, with around 400 salt houses in 1530, and had almost died out by the end of the 18th century. The last salt house closed in the mid-19th century. Nicolaus Pevsner considers the decline in the salt industry to have been the critical factor in preserving the town's historic buildings. The last tannery closed in 1974. The town's location on the London to Chester road meant that Nantwich began to serve the needs of travellers in medieval times. This trade declined in the 19th century, however, with the opening of Telford's Road from London to Holyhead, which offered a faster route to Wales, and later when the Grand Junction Railway bypassed the town.